Vaheguru. 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 तुम्हें कैसे मैं बताऊं? I often say that. Hare Ram. You know, every day we sit together, we spend quite some time in silence. And thereafter, every day, I give a lecture on silence in different words. Because silence can't be spoken. If you speak, then it's not silence. Hare Ram. Let me tell you what is a relationship. And how a relationship becomes eternal. There is always a give and take. Without a give and take, there can never be a relation. Be it between a husband-wife, between a mother and son. Can't be. Between a father and daughter, brother and sister. Every relationship has to be give and take. Whenever the give and take, anything of the two breaks, if the taker is not ready to receive, the relationship breaks. And if the giver doesn't have anything to give, the relationship breaks. Natural. So one should not criticize. If the giver stops giving, the relationship will break. And if the receiver stops taking, the relationship will break. Let me give you an example of an eternal relationship. Guru Shishya is eternal relationship, but well, let's talk about the sun and the moon. Guru and the Shishya. Now, what is the sun giving the moon? Moon is just a piece of rock. Just a piece of rock. Just like everything else in this creation. Piece of material, rock. But the sun is constantly giving him light. And so we see him as a shining piece of rock and we call it moon, and we feel good when we see him, isn't it? So what does he give to the sun? Because relationship requires a giver and a receiver. So now comes the receiver. Receiver is receiving. How is he become a receiver? There are so many pieces of rock in this world, but he is the only one who keeps getting light. Everyone is getting light, but nobody is shining. But moon is always shining. How? He is in awe. He has not understood the sun. He is in awe. He is completely humbled. He is in eternal state of awe. That why is sun shining upon me? I am just another piece of rock. Why is sun shining upon me? I am doing nothing. The world calls me moon, but I am doing nothing. He has just decided to shine upon me. So call it awe, call it humility. True humility, not this folding of hands. This folding was just the beginning. A bulb is also humbled. A bulb doesn't know why electricity has decided to call me a bulb. He cannot understand electricity. Can you think a piece of glass can understand electricity? Can you think that a piece of rock can understand what is sun and how is he shining upon me? So he's completely finished his entity, identity, and he feels that I don't know what's happening. I don't know who is doing and what is he doing. So this is humility, and this makes him a receiver or makes him a receiver. It has to be bilateral. I was telling my son in the morning, we were sitting for our own cup of tea satsang. You know, our morning begins very early. So we spent some time with each other. And I was telling him that the mother will continue to give you love. But this relationship will cease one day because you will not be a receiver. Because you will now start seeking love everywhere else, from your wife, from your children, from your workplace. So the relationship will become affected. So it is your duty to see that you continue to be a receiver in some which way. At least keep receiving some love from your mother. But if you don't, then relationship will, so to say, develop a break. So any relationship requires a continuous flow of energy. Flow of energy. You see, any one of you who is a science student, who's been a science, who knows what Franklin did, Benjamin, how the electricity was invented. Benjamin, he rubbed a glass piece on a piece of silk. Happened to, not that he deliberately did it, he happened to rub a piece of glass on a piece of silk. And he found that the piece of glass became attractive. Everything started getting pulled towards the piece of glass. So what happened? The relationship formed between the glass and the silk, and something came into the glass. Positivity came into the glass. So that means the current flows from the silk to the glass piece. So that's what we know, that the silk gave current to the glass piece. Then he called it electric current or electrostatic force. Well, but what had actually happened? Actually, what had happened was that negativity from the glass piece, which is called electrons, that flew from the glass piece into the silk. And so when the electrons went out of the glass piece, this glass piece became positive. His negativity went out and he became positive. So what is the moon giving to the sun? Now the question is that moon is constantly giving its ego to the sun, its negativity to the sun, continuously. Because the receiver doesn't actually receive, receiver gives his negativity. The receiver keeps giving his negativity to the Guru. And the Guru is almighty, he keeps absorbing all the negativity. And you are left positive. You are left light and positive. So this is a relationship. The current doesn't flow from positive to negative. Anyone of you who's studied science intently knows that current doesn't flow from positive to negative. Current doesn't flow from Guru to the Shishya. Current is a flow of electrons. Electrons is negativity. So the current flows from the Shishya to the Guru. And what is left is the Shishya becomes positive. And the Shishya starts enjoying it. When I met my Guru, he gave me I started reading Shastras also, so I got some understanding of what happens. So it's called Aklishta Vritti of the Chitta. Aklisht means it's an imagination, but well, I got an imagination that the current flows from the feet of the Guru. I got an imagination. This was the knowledge given to me from the books, that the current flows from the feet of the Guru. So I got an opportunity once that the feet was in front of me and I was sitting there. So it was available to me. And so I put my forehead on his feet and I rubbed it intently, just like Benjamin Franklin would have done to the glass rod. I rubbed it intently and I found that I got charged. Eternally charged, not for a moment. Eternally. Because all my negativity went into him. And I was left completely positive. I blossomed like moon, like a sunflower, but the relationship became eternal because I still don't know what happened. If I can tell you what really happened and how is it happening now also, then the relationship will break. I still don't know what's happened. Something happened. तेरा कीता जात तो नाही, मैनू जोग कीता मैं निर्गुण्यारे को गुण नाही, आपे तरस पे हुई. The bulb doesn't know how it is a bulb. If it has even a iota of understanding, then it's not a bulb. He is in wow. And that's what is Vaheguru. Vaheguru. Vaheguru is humility, genuine humility, not a put on. Vah means I don't know. I'm giving you a lecture on silence. But it is just to keep a relationship intact. How can silence be lectured upon? I often share the first time somebody asked me to come and address a gathering was in 99. And I asked God, what can I say? What do I talk? And God told me, talk on silence. Well, I went and sat on the podium and I dared to question God. Because how can the moon ask sun what's happening? I dared to ask him, if you want me to talk on silence, then it is paradoxical. How can I talk on silence? If I'm speaking, then what is silence? Then he smiled, he says, then don't speak. So it was a half an hour lecture on true silence. I never spoke a word. And we all enjoyed it because silence is the tastiest thing in this world. Tastiest thing. It is rasa. Hare Ram. Vaheguru. Do you think that the sun and moon are talking? Something is happening. Hare Ram. Vaheguru. But never think that sun is giving light to the moon. Moon is doing something which we don't know what. Even moon doesn't know. Receptivity. Receptivity. But in different words, Buddha used to say, if somebody wants to follow me, what is required is that he should be a bhikshu. Now, what does it mean? Bhikshu. Not bhikhari. Bhikshu. Should be a receptacle. What did Ashtavakra tell Janak? Janak said, why, I have spotted you as my guru, but why is something not happening in me? That's something. Why is not light coming from me? Because I have seen you as my guru, and when you see the guru, there should be light in me. So Ashtavakra said, you are right, whatever you read in the books, but you go and read it carefully. You have met your guru, why is not light coming in me? What is lacking? You are convinced, Ashtavakra said, you are convinced that I am the source of light. And I am sitting in front of you. But why is not light coming from me? So Ashtavakra went back to his kingdom. Janaka went back to his kingdom. And he did his sadhana of trying to understand what is lacking. And the answer was that I am not having the patrata. Patrata. Guru is there, but patrata is missing. No, patrata means receptivity. That's what Buddha said. If you want to follow me, you have to be a bhikshu. And people started following him with a begging bowl. No, it was it's not, it's supposed to be here. It's supposed to be here. The folding of hands or carrying a bowl is just symbolic. Symbolic. There has to be patrata. When I rubbed my forehead, on the feet of the Guru, I knew that current is going to pass. And yes, I received the current, least realizing that I had pushed all my negativity, all the electrons. The current had flowed from me to him, and I became electrified. Hare Ram. Thereafter, I have done nothing. And then also I did nothing actually. He made me to do that because he alone fed that knowledge, that current as if flows from the feet of the Guru. So I sat at his feet and current flowed from me to him. Or as Benjamin Franklin said, the current flowed from him to me. You may say the current flowed from the silk to the glass rod, or you may say that the current flowed from the silk rod to the glass, from the glass rod to the silk. It doesn't really matter. Scientists have not been able to decide the current flows from the positive to negative or negative to positive, but it flows. A relationship requires a giver and a receiver, but then nobody knows then finally who is the giver and who is the receiver. Because something is happening, onlookers can decide where is the giving and where is the receiving. Moon gives to the sun or sun gives to the moon, that nobody can decide. Nobody can declare. Current flows, means continues to flow forever, forever, forever. And the beauty is that it's already flowing. It's just that the awareness is lacking. So what God gives us, His chosen ones, is awareness. Awareness, awareness. Sacha aap, sacha darbar, tithe sohan panch parvan. Nadri karam pave nishan. Sacha आप सच्चा दरबार. ये जग सच्चे की है कोठड़ी, सच्चे का विश्वास. Everywhere God is there, then what is lacking? Receptivity. Hare Ram. And receptivity, who will give? He alone will give receptivity also. He is the only giver. And when He gives you receptivity, you will blossom and you won't know what has happened. Something has happened. Hare Ram. हैरान हूं मैं इस बात पर. वाओ, वाहे गुरु, तुमने मुझको कैसे बदल दिया. एक ना हुक्मी बख्शीश, एक हुक्मी सदा पवाई है. The whole world is burning in hell fire. तुमने मुझे क्या कर दिया, तेरा कीता जात तो नहीं, मैनू जोग की तोए. So what we can do is receptivity. Sadhana is to garner receptivity. I know what happened when I rubbed my forehead. I don't know what happened. I know what happened, but I don't know what happened. Hare Ram, something happens. And that's called something. Hare Ram. Vaheguru.